back, a friend of mine introduced me to an anime manga blogger by the name of Baka Raptor, who makes some pretty damn funny posts about any random sort of anime he's viewing at the time. I still check his posts out. Well, on the same day I was introduced to him, I checked out a topic on his list called Any Top Anime List Without Detroit Metal City Can Go to Hell, where he talks about how nobody appreciates how good Detroit Metal City truly is. I'll post a link in the description below for you guys to check out. But anyways, after seeing a few episodes later on in my college life, this show was one I wanted to seek out and purchase if I ever got licensed. And woe and behold, the anime adaptation of Detroit Metal City was licensed and released by Sentai Filmworks. Detroit Metal City, or DMC for short, is a 2008 12-episode dark comedy OVA series that focuses on aspiring musician Soichi Negishi. Negishi is kind of a sissy merry man who wishes to make easy-listening, stylish pop music, but much to his dismay, he ends up being the lead guitarist and vocalist for a vulgar indie visual kei death metal band called Detroit Metal City. Not to be confused with the Kiss song Detroit Rock City, which is where the title of the anime is inspired from. Duh! As a band member of Detroit Metal City, Negishi dons the persona of Johannes Krauser II, the Demon King who, and his backstory was cooked up by his radical fanbase. He raped and murdered his parents when he was a kid, and now he currently resides in hell. And he came back to make death metal for the people of Japan. So Negishi lives a dual life as himself and as Krauser, and he doesn't want his friends or family to know he's part of a raunchy death metal band that's slowly rising to popularity in Japan. You know what? I'm not going to cover the other two band members. You know why? Because this OVA series from start to finish solely focuses on Negishi and his trials and tribulations. It's all about him. You'll have some supporting cast members, and you do get a little backstory who they are, like his love interest Yuri Aikawa, who hates death metal, and the Death Records president, who drops English F-bombs like crazy and talks about how metal turns her on. Now, if you have the balls to check this series out, be warned, it is pretty damn insane. It might not be as insane as Excel Saga, but it's pretty fucking crazy, and I actually love my comedy anime to be pretty fucking crazy. Granted, it's also vulgar in both language and visual content, but the visual content is not as grotesque as Panty and Stocking. I only gagged at one particular scene in the show. It's the language you have more to worry about. It's also amazing how Negishi, despite hating the work he produces for his band, he can somehow stay very dedicated and completely in his Krauser character. He would even try to bring his Krauser persona for more compassionate purposes, like helping his brother out with his studies, even if the end result didn't turn out completely as Negishi expected. And as a death metal musician, woo, he's really damn good at it. All I gotta say is that, man, he can play the guitar even with his teeth! Oh, and his fan base is crazy radical, wearing face paint, overzealously defending the band they love, even going as far as giving a kid a knuckle sandwich. And they honestly believe that all this stuff DMC does is not kayfabed. They honestly think Krauser is a demon king from hell, who raped and murdered his parents. Now, the art and animation is provided by Studio 4 Degrees Celsius, but I usually call them Studio 4C for short anyways. Now, each episode is only about 13 to 15 minutes in length, and there's 12 episodes altogether, so you're about getting 2.5 to 3 hours of entertainment. Now, Studio 4C, they work on a variety of OVAs, movies, and even some Western shows like the recent Thundercat series. And that studio often experiments with several unique styles. I mean, take a look at Mind Game. There's a reason why that movie is titled that. Now, character designs lean more to the realistic side without being too realistic. I mean, it still has a very cartoonish look, but it's not bright and colorful and moe-blobby, which is a good thing because this is about death metal and death metal culture and how it's fucking up Negishi's life. Now, when the band members don up their makeup and costumes, they almost look practically unrecognizable, especially Negishi, which makes sense since he doesn't want people to know that Krauser and Negishi are one and the same. Also, weird thing, the scenes constantly change aspect ratio in a variety of ways, making it look like you're viewing it as a manga panel completely separated from the rest of the page. As for the music and sound, well, it's an anime about death metal band, obviously there's going to be some death metal in there. I'm not really much of a huge death metal enthusiast, but the opening song Setsugai ends up getting stuck in my head, even if it is a song that helped create the aforementioned backstory of Krauser. However, there is some punk and hip hop during specific episodes that center on DMC's rival bands. That's right, some people have the balls to take on Detroit Metal City. Not to mention, you get a taste of Negishi's non-metal Swedish pop-inspired music for the ending credits, which does leave me laughing, and unfortunately the ending credits song is just as catchy as the opening credits song for two completely different reasons. Now, this is just something I'm disappointed with. It's nothing that's a con against the show, but as of the day the video is uploaded, Detroit Metal City is subtitled only. Maybe there will be a re-release in the future with a dub, since according to Greg Ayres in his State of the Industry panel in Louisianime 2013, Sentai Filmworks is doing a water-treading strategy of releasing subtitles first and seeing if there's a market for it for a re-release with a dub. Not an uncommon strategy. ADV used to do it when they were new, and I know Media Blasters has done it for a couple of their titles. But it's kind of bizarre that Sentai Filmworks would go ahead and release shows anyway with a dub, such as High School of the Dead. Also, if Greg Ayres is at a nearby anime convention and he has the State of the Industry panel, I do recommend you attend it. It's pretty enlightening. Will Detroit Metal City ever get re-released with a dub? I sure as hell hope so. But I could settle with what I got, and the acting in DMC is pretty damn good. Nothing specific I want to mention except that Negishi actually has two different voice actors. One for his regular old self, and the other for Krauser, which kind of disappoints me because I prefer to have one voice actor trying to switch voices and try to don different personas, because it does express how talented the voice actor really is, but oh well. Also, there's a lot of English profanity in the dialogue too, from constant F-bombs courtesy of Madam President of Death Records, to various other foul language in between. So if you find it funny to hear Japanese actors speak in English, especially English profanity, and I know a few people that do, then you'll definitely get a kick out of this. So overall, Detroit Metal City provided of what I like to see in anime comedies. High-octane insanity, taking risque direction in its humor. It's a show I'm going to remember for a long time. I'm even going to check out both the manga and the live-action adaptation movie somewhere in the near future, since both of those things are licensed. I don't usually do a countdown list for anime, but if I did for comedies, Detroit Metal City would definitely be on the top 10 list. High recommendation if you survived insane anime in the past, and even though death metal fans may like this for the music, I would also recommend it to those who hate death metal as well, because they do a lot of satire on the culture. So that's my review. Leave a comment if you wish, and this is Darkscream217 signing out, and I will return with a welcome to the NHK review. I sure hope you like more insanity, because that's what that show provides.